The ocean was the first to welcome her home. It roared against the jagged cliffs of Ashwood Cove, gray and wild under a sky the color of steel. The wind tangled through her hair as if it recognized her, carrying the scent of salt and roses from the old garden that had somehow survived the years. Lena Marlowe stood at the edge of the crumbling porch, suitcase at her feet, and stared at the inn she hadn't seen since she was 17. It looked smaller now, lonelier. The Ashwood Inn had once been her grandmother's pride, a warm beacon for travelers, dreamers, and the occasional heartbroken soul seeking solace by the sea. Now, ivy strangled its columns, shutters hung crooked, and the brass letters of the sign had faded almost to nothing. Ashwood Inn, ghostly and hollow. She should have sold it. She'd told herself that a dozen times on the drive from Boston. But something, call it guilt, maybe love, maybe unfinished business, had brought her back. Inside, the air was thick with dust and memory. The creak of the floorboards echoed like whispers from the past. She set her bag down and ran her fingers along the old counter, still scarred where her grandmother's coffee pot had once sat. That's when she heard the knock. He stood there in the doorway, broad-shouldered and sun-worn, holding a toolbox in one hand and a half-smile in the other. "Figured you might need a hand," he said. His voice was deep, steady, like the tide itself. Lena blinked. "I didn't call anyone." He shrugged. "You didn't have to. Word travels fast in a town this small." He extended a hand. "Eli Carter. I do restoration work, and apparently rescues." Something in his gaze, steady, knowing, made her chest tighten. There was a flicker of recognition, too. She remembered him, faintly, the boy from the neighboring farm, a few years older, always fixing engines or repairing boats down at the docks. Now, he was no boy. Over the following weeks, Eli's steady presence filled the silence of the house. He worked with his sleeves rolled up, muscles taut beneath sun-browned skin, sawdust clinging to his hair. Lena watched him rebuild the porch, repair the banister, sand the floors, restoring not just the inn, but something inside her she hadn't realized was broken. Nights stretched long and soft. They shared coffee on the porch as the sea shimmered silver under the moonlight. He told her about his late wife, how the quiet had been too much afterward. She told him about her failed engagement, her life in the city that had looked perfect on the outside, but left her feeling hollow. There was comfort in their honesty, and danger too. One stormy night, lightning split the sky as they scrambled to cover a broken window. The wind howled through the halls, and the old place seemed to wake, groaning, alive. As they worked, Lena stumbled into the storage room behind the library, where she found an old chest sealed shut. Inside were letters. Dozens of them. Her grandmother's handwriting looped in fading ink. Letters to a man who wasn't her grandfather. Letters full of love, longing, and secrets she'd carried alone for decades. Some dated back to the war. Others hinted at a betrayal that had changed everything. The revelation hit Lena like the sea spray, sharp, cold, undeniable. Her family's history was not the tidy story she'd been told. And maybe her grandmother's solitude hadn't been choice. It had been heartbreak. Eli found her sitting by the fireplace, reading through tears. He knelt beside her, his calloused hand closing over hers. "Sometimes love breaks before it builds," he said quietly. But it doesn't mean it wasn't real. When she met his eyes, something in her chest finally gave way. She kissed him, soft at first. Then, with years of longing neither of them had expected to feel again. Morning came gentle and golden. The inn smelled like coffee and fresh rain. The letters lay folded neatly on the mantel, no longer heavy with sorrow but with understanding. By summer, the Ashwood Inn was open again. Locals called it a rebirth. Lena just called it home. And sometimes when the sea wind whispered through the roses, she could almost hear her grandmother's laughter in the breeze, free at last.